pretty interesting in some respects because Nebraska's got a long history of being on the east sideline, which is opposite of the Memorial Stadium press box. And we go to a lot of stadiums around the country, and Nebraska is really the only home team you generally will see that is opposite of the press box, where now that's going to change. You're going to see Nebraska, and Troy Dannon sent an email out to season ticket holders that Nebraska will now be moving to the west sidelines, and that will and just letting ticket holders know for the seat yourself process. If you want to relocate or move, this is happening. Nebraska will start the next season on the west sidelines, and we saw the Huskers actually go to the west SIP for the COVID year when there was no fans,
2020.
But now it's official. That will be their new home. And what does that mean? Will they adjust the fence? Will they adjust things? Because the depth of the East versus the West is one of the reasons why Nebraska has always been on the East sideline.
Yeah. Back to the COVID. That was 2020. They did it for 1 year. I'm going to say out of the last 100. I mean, that's the only time. I mean, I know I was talking to a season ticket holder who's in his 70s, and he said that they've always, except for that 1 year, been on the east side, Nebraska sideline. As far as adjustments go, there's the stadium. I mean, Sean, I think you just got to move a fence back is really what you got to do.
Probably add some turf though back too.
Don't have to.
You just keep it on concrete or
brick. You can put something down on game day. You can put some kind of mats or something down.
That is, one of the unique things about Nebraska Stadium is there is quite a bit of distance from row one to the field, where if you go to Iowa or Oklahoma State, those are the two that really jump out to me. I mean,
Michigan State,
the crowd is literally dang near in your huddle.
Michigan State,
Iowa though too.
Iowa, Michigan. There's a lot that come to mind for me.
Call me crazy. I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
It kind of adds more juice and more atmosphere.
Yeah, it does.
And some Iowa fan just starts yelling at the Nebraska bench.
Yeah, they do. They can touch them.
Like 5 feet away, starts screaming at Donovan Raiola.
Colorado's close.
Oh, yeah. Colorado was so close. When I was the sideline reporter in 2007, you'd have to go into the bleachers, and there was like a walkway because you could only stay 20. You had to go around the bench, and there wasn't enough room to walk around the bench behind there.
I said Michigan. I may go back on that one. I don't know that Michigan's that close. Anyway, this is a big change. Dan in his email to fans said competitive advantage is a reason to do it. He didn't say what the advantages are. Would you, since you look so much like Troy Dannon, why don't you handle this part?
Well, the competitive advantage is simple. The press box. So when you're up, there's two competitive advantages. The press box. So let's start with that one first. So when you're looking down on Nebraska right now, you get a clear shot of all of their signals going in.
If you're a coach,
maybe even some of their personnel groupings, you get a little quicker read on who's going into the game, but it's mainly the signals.
Yeah.
And a perfect example was the Michigan game this year. Now, knowing what we know, Connor Stallions had people in Memorial Stadium filming Nebraska signals. And, when you watch Michigan play Nebraska, they were outstanding, but they were almost in the perfect call the entire game. And look, Nebraska, I'm not saying Nebraska was going to beat Michigan. That was a really good team. As we know, they won the national championship. But the other thing is the heat. So when you play those September games, like the Michigan game this year was late September, it was 95 degrees for an 11 a.m. kick. And Jim Harbaugh, if you remember, Trev Alberts on his radio show with Greg Sharp said that Harbaugh called them after the game. He says, "Why do you guys use the east sidelines?" He goes, "It was probably 30 or 40 degrees cooler on the west than the east."
Because of the shadow.
And to me, that's the big one.
The shadow. Yeah. There you go. And let's face it, for some context, Matt Rule has talked about this for months, right? I mean, this is what he wanted, and here it is. It's done. They're moving. It'll be pretty big change, actually.
Now, will Matt Rule get his grass?
Now, that's the next thing. That's a little more complicated than moving a fence back. It is. You went through the complications the other day. I hadn't even thought about them until you said that. If you put grass in there, can you have a volleyball day for Nebraska? Can you have a Garth Brooks concert? If you have real grass down, can you do stuff like that? I don't know. Can you keep having the state high school championship in the state.
6 games in 2 days.
Yeah, those were great points. I don't know if you can.
Because if it's bad weather, they still have to play those high school games.
Yeah. I think you move them. That's what I think.
But there's really no venue that would make sense. I mean, you have Seacrest Field.
Can't Seacrest do it?
They could, but man, you lose a lot.
Yeah, you lose a lot of prestige.
A lot of people like, obviously, Memorial Stadium for the what it is, but even just like those press box access for the working media and just all the amenities the stadium has to offer. I mean, the people that work all the events and the coaches that attend. I mean, the coaches love to sit in that level 3 club the whole weekend.
I hesitate to ask this question because it'll suggest I didn't prepare for this show, but how long has that field turf been in? Well, I didn't know we were going to talk about turf. How long has the field turf been in Memorial Stadium?
So they've updated it about every 7 years or so. So 99 was the first year. 2006 was the second round of it. 2013 was the third round of the field turf.
Then it seems like they went longer.
Then if you remember, they were trying to pinch pennies because of COVID.
Yeah.
And they held it past the 2020 season.
Okay, so 2021.
2021 was the first year of that turf.
This is still pretty young turf.
Yeah, and so you usually get about 7, but they did get 9. I want to say they got 8 or 9. They went 2013 through 2020 or 2021 on the old turf.
Right. I don't know. I don't know if they want to rip this young turf up or not. I don't.
It's about $1 million or so of turf. It would be my guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then the work to get grass down. I mean,
I don't know, Sean. I don't know if you're going to do that or not. You're the AD.
Yeah, I fear that what if it gets torn? I mean, there's so many variables to it. Like Soldier Field hosts events on their grass, and it notoriously is in bad shape.
Yeah, it is.
Arrowhead, for what it is, it doesn't have. I mean, we played down there, Big 12 championship game in 06. It was the worst grass. Nebraska. It was terrible.
Yeah. Oh, really interesting subject because the data, as Matt Rule has pointed out, suggests that it's safer to play on grass. It's safer. Now you're coming off of a spring game where you have one major knee injury, it looks like, but Demetrius Hill, maybe Bly Hills isn't quite as serious.
Demetrius Bell.
What did I say?
Hill.
Yeah. Demetrius Bell, the receiver. His knee injury looks pretty serious. Bly Hill, not as serious.
Yeah. And we haven't heard officially from the head coach, but that's kind of the word.
What you've heard,
yeah. That's the word out there that we've heard, that one's bad, one doesn't look as bad. So Nebraska on the west sideline, and I'm intrigued now with the stadium too. I mean, the chairback seating and all these things that they're going to do to the east and the west, like it's going to eliminate some seats.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've already kind of shown that when they took that original east balcony and chairbacked it, it took away about 20% of the seats.
Yeah, and now are you talking about the new renovation plan by any chance?
Well,
the new renovation plan, remember, it's the new renovation plan that was unveiled in September by Trev Alwards. The reports were that it would take the stadium down to 72 to 74 to 75,000.
And they never gave a firm number.
Never a firm number.
Because they didn't know. I mean, I don't think they truly know.
But that's what you're talking about, which would be about 12 to 14,000 fewer seats.
But if you study what the scan ticket data is, yes, the sold ticket data is 85 or 86, but a lot of times the scan ticket data is in the 70s.
Yes, it is, but that won't be the case if Nebraska goes 11-2. You know, then you will have no issues with check. We won't even check scan tickets. I think you only check scan tickets when a team is struggling.
Yeah,
right.
That's just low hanging fruit content when things are going bad.
Right. Exactly.
You know, like
exactly.
They always list the tickets sold, but then they'll give you the scan ticket data, but it takes a little bit of work to gather it from Nebraska.
Yeah. I'm always Mr. Downsize your stadium guy. I have to remind myself sometimes, well, what if Nebraska gets really good again? Then what? Then you're going to have a waiting list of people that want to be in the stadium, and you only have 72,000 seats, right?
What hasn't been good, though, is when you see like tickets on StubHub for like $5.
Right. That's the other side of it. That's the other side. We hope that, I mean, if you're a Nebraska fan, you hope that those conversations are going to be over soon. Right?
What hasn't been good is when you can get club seats for under $100 when those same people that own those club seats are paying thousands for them. I mean, so you have to make this ticket valuable again. That's and they've got a tough job ahead.